Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, Cagayan de Oro still under enhanced community quarantine or ECQ. But is there enough aid coming from the national government? Also, lawmakers at the House of Representatives want to investigate the OCTA Research Group over their ties and warnings on the COVID-19 situation. And the government projects 150 billion pesos worth of economic losses every week of ECQ. Cagayan de Oro Representative Rufus Rodriguez and Marikina Representative Stella Quimbo join us live. Amid rising COVID-19 cases nationwide, Cagayan de Oro City remains under the Enhanced Community Quarantine or ECQ. CDO has been placed under the strictest form of lockdown since July. Meantime, the House of Representatives want to probe the OCTA Research Group over their ties and projections related to COVID-19. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have House Deputy Speaker and Cagayan de Oro Representative Rufus Rodriguez. Congressman Rufus Rodriguez, welcome to the source and maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Good morning, my buntag Pinky.
Okay, let's first start with ECQ. Just for context here, sa CDO po extended ang ECQ until August 15. That means from then till August 15, that's about 1 month of the enhanced community quarantine. First off, Congressman, how are the cases now there?
Unfortunately, Pinky, cases are still rising. The other day, it was 250 cases, new cases for one day for Cagayan de Oro. And the previous days, we also had 200 plus and then 175. So it's very, very high. So we really have to have the ECQ continued up to August 15. Hopefully, for this number of COVID-19 to be controlled. So that is the situation in Cagayan de Oro City, and that was really we had our ECQ starting July 16, Pinky. Yeah.
Actually, that's where I wanted to go also. So since July 16 until now, so that would be 3 weeks. Hindi ho ba nakatulong yung 3 linggong ECQ? Because you're saying that mataas pa rin ang COVID cases dyan now at 250?
Yeah, it seems that there is still uncontrollable increase of COVID-19 cases in Cagayan de Oro, unfortunately. And so, yes, we were not able to control it. It was still a very high 250 the other day. Yes.
Why would you think that has not been controlled?
Well, this really pertains to the local government in really enforcing all the rules under ECQ. And of course, there are allegations that the city had not been able to strictly lock down the city under ECQ rules. And that is why it's still rising. So we appeal to the local government unit to be the one, together with the police and the other officials, to make sure that mainly people stay home, unless very important in such essential things will have to be bought and they have to go out. And that, of course, right now, we are now, the DSWD and the city are already distributing the President's Ayuda, Pinky.
3 weeks later, kailan ho magdi-distribute? Ngayong araw lang po ba mag-uumpisa sa ayuda?
Nag-start na Pinky last Friday. So Friday, we also have they work on Saturday and Sunday and today. So the distribution will be under the schedule up to August 20, because this is a house-to-house. And we thank the DSWD that they've decided that this will be house-to-house together with the local government.
How much are they getting, sir?
Well, according to the Joint Memorandum Circular 2, signed by 3 agencies and secretaries, Bautista of DSWD, Lorenzana of DND, and Eduardo Año of DLG, the recipients, those affected by the ECQ, will receive 1,000 per family member and a maximum of 4,000.
Okay.
So only up to 4. Yes, so there's a maximum of 4,000. But at least one will get 1,000, and then if two in the family, 2,003, and then up to 4, even if you have
Right.
more members in the family.
Just like here in Metro Manila, where they say the ayuda will begin this Wednesday. Let's talk about the hospital capacity. How is it right now, considering you're saying it's been 3 weeks of ECQ at patuloy po ang pagtaas ng mga kaso at napakataas po, sabi niyo nga po, at 250 cases yesterday or the other day?
Well, our hospitals are already on code red alert, red code, because they're practically all full already. Our public hospitals are full, meaning Northern Mindanao Medical Center. The good thing is that Dr. Chan, the head of hospital, has announced that by this week there will be an opening of one floor of a new building in the Northern Mindanao Medical Center and can accommodate 50. But still, at the rate we're going, at 250 a day, even the 50 additional beds for COVID-19 patients will not be enough. So we are really, the hospitals are full. In private hospitals, you have to have a queuing. You have to reserve, you have to be in the list. So meantime, you are quarantined and you get some medical help.
Okay, so 50 additional beds. As you said po, Congressman, kulang po yan. Is there another alternative or another solution?
Well, really, the best solution is really to enforce the ECQ rules, though that people will not be going out from home. The ayuda this is coming. They're being distributed as we speak now. And we should stay home and prevent from going out and contracting, especially because Delta variant has been discovered in Cagayan de Oro. And so that's very, very fast in contaminating others. So the best way really is to really make it upon ourselves in Cagayan de Oro not to go out, prevent, meeting people and stay at home. Yeah.
All right, we need to take a very short break. Lawmakers want to probe the OCTA Research Group over their ties and COVID-19 projections. House Deputy Speaker Rufus Rodriguez shares his thoughts after the break. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, House Deputy Speaker Rufus Rodriguez. So let's talk about OCTA. There is, of course, a resolution wanting to probe or investigate OCTA's qualifications, their background, their research methodology. And if I'm not mistaken, Congressman, you're one of the first to oppose this. Tell us why you are against this possible investigation.
Yes, Pinky, certainly, there was a resolution filed, and I know, and the proponents are my good friends. But, this is to investigate the OCTA Research Group. The resolution states that they should be scrutinized. Congress will scrutinize, 1, the qualifications, 2, the research methodologies, 3rd, partnerships, and 4th, the composition. I'm really, surprised because this is a matter that really goes to experts. No? And that is why, how can we, any investigation is an aid of legislation. How can Congress pass a law that will, provide for qualification for those who would want to study and to make recommendations? In this case, for example, as to the issue of qualifications, clearly, I have also researched on who are members, our core group members of the OCTA Research Group, and they're very eminent and they are qualified. And these are, for example, we have Professor Guido David, a professor of the Institute of Mathematics in UP. We have Professor Ranjit Rai, who is a associate professor in the Department of Political Science. We have Dr. Michael T, Vice Chancellor of Manila, UP Manila. And we have from UST, Reverend Father Nicanor Ostraco, who is a molecular biology professor in Providence College in the US, and now visiting in UST. And then we also have Bernhard Egwolf, who is also a professor on mathematics and physics, to name a few. So as to qualification-wise, it is very clear that these people are qualified. Now, on the research methodologies, how can Congress decide what is the proper research methodology? That's something for the peers to find out, and for the results of what the OCTA Research Group has announced. And then on partnership, we cannot legislate who will be partners for this kind of endeavor by the OCTA. And fourth, composition, yes, you see the composition, that they are really experts and scientists in the field and in the academe who can really make the proper study and recommendations.
So you actually already answered questions on their qualifications, their research methodology, which to my understanding, you're saying it might be hard to understand the methodology because you are not experts regarding this. The partnership you answered, and the composition as well. Let's put this in though. Lawmakers are saying that this resolution to investigate them is not to discredit them, but again to look into their backgrounds and credentials. Kasi kahit daw tingnan mo yung kanilang website, ay halos wala ka daw makita doon. Wouldn't that be, you think, a good jump-off point or a reason to have them called at the House of Representatives?
No, I think this will be a waste of time, energy, and money for us to be calling. These are people, Pinky, who have been trying to do its best to help our country and our people. In fact, as my personal experience would show, the OCTA Research Group, sometime in last May 10, issued the very first announcement which recognizes that Cagayan de Oro has what they call a critical area of COVID-19, having a 75% spike. And so therefore, because of that, I, as the congressman of the city, after getting those figures, firstly from the OCTA group, wrote the IATF for more vaccines, because vaccination is really a shield against critical and severe cases of COVID. You might still get it, but mild lang if you are vaccinated. And then again, it was the OCTA report that I used in my second letter to the IATF, asking again for more vaccines on May 20, because May 18, about 10 days after the first pronouncement of OCTA, they again said that Cagayan de Oro, it's still in a very high incidence of COVID-19, and projected that it will be higher if there will be no assistance from the national government. So these are things that we have used. I myself have used. And what is the effect of this? Because of this, I wrote the IATF. Then the IATF was able to have the president. The president ordered on June 14 in the evening the recalibration, because Pinky, before, the distribution of vaccines were just million population. In Manila always has the population. And of course, last March, there was big spike. So therefore, it was given here. But since May 1, there are already other areas outside of Metro Manila that are experiencing a very high incidence of COVID-19, as reported by OCTA Research Group. So therefore, they see these are good results that have happened. Now, if we go to the present situation now, OCTA reported a week ago that we really have the increase of COVID in NCR expected to go very high because of the Delta variant or all the others. And so the government followed the recommendation. And instead of having a 2-week an ECQ starting August 15, they started already last August 6. And so therefore, even the government is following the findings and the recommendations of OCTA. Now, why do we want to investigate them, Pinky?
All right. Congressman, we're going to ask that kay Congresswoman Stella Quimbo. She will be joining me after the break. I'll be asking those questions that you had enumerated. Thank you for your time, Congressman. Rufus Rodriguez.
Thank
And
you
we
very
will be
much,
taking
Vicky,
a
for the
short
time.
break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, Marikina Representative Stella Quimbo. Okay, we're going to ask the Congresswoman her thoughts on what Congressman Rufus Rodriguez said. Sabi niya, Congresswoman, by the way, hello and welcome to the show. When we talk about credentials, nandun naman daw yung credentials, yung background, nandun din. Yung methodology, mahirap naman daw talaga intindihin dahil it will be up to the experts. Just point blank, I wanted to ask you, kayo ho ba naniniwala? Do you trust in the numbers that OCTA has been releasing?
Well, that's the reason for why we filed the resolution. No, so that's we want to understand their numbers. But let me backtrack a bit. So the reason for why we filed this resolution is that clearly at this point in time, and as mentioned by Deputy Speaker Rufus, this is a situation where government is listening to the recommendations of a private sector group. So Pinky, this is a very unique situation. It's as if for the weather forecast, hindi na pag-asa ang pinapakinggan natin, kundi isang private sector group. So given that unique situation, kailangan natin intindihin kung ano ba talaga ang methodologies nila. And Pinky, as early as August 26 of 2020, in a hearing of the Committee on Metro Manila Development, I interpolated the OCTA Research Group. I had issues with how they measured R0 and the case doubling time. And I asked them questions, and I asked them to submit their technical notes on their methodology. And it's been almost 1 year, Pinky, and they have not
Really?
They have not submitted those technical notes to me. So when I was asked by Deputy Speaker Bernadette Herrera if I would like to co-author the resolution, I read it and I said yes, because that's precisely what I had been asking for, and it has been 11 and a half months since then.
But Congressman, why were you asking for notes? Was it because you were unsure or you were doubting their numbers? What was the reason why you wanted to find out possibly their methods or their methodology or their way of computation or analysis?
One of the time they were sharing their estimates on the R0, which is how fast the virus spreads.
Yes.
And it seemed counterintuitive to me because it was not consistent with the estimate of the case doubling time. So given that, and I asked questions on how they measured the R0, and so I wanted to understand where they were coming from.
But
so that was.
And then you asked for their methodology, or how do you call it? Their technical
notes.
Their technical notes. At hindi pa yun nabibigay sa inyo. And that that prompted you also to be part and sign this resolution to look into OCTA. But
yes.
Okay, so fair enough, no, Congresswoman, hindi nabigay sa inyo. Kayo ho ba, miyembro ho kayo ng akademya, pagka inilatag ho ba ng OCTA yung kanilang methodology, would it be easy for you to understand? And what about the others who had filed this resolution? Maiintindihan ho ba nila ang methodology, analysis, and computation? Is that an easy thing to digest?
Well, una sa lahat, Pinky, I'll talk about myself if I may. I'm an economist, and yung tinuro ko sa UP is econometrics. So, ibig sabihin ang paggamit ng statistics for economic analysis. So, kung ako po, palagay ko po maiintindihan ko because I also do forecasting. In fact, I've done forecasts for using COVID data myself, so I sort of understand the limitations, for example, of data, etc. Now, as to my colleagues, marami naman sa Kongreso ang doktor, maraming may advanced degrees, maraming may master's degrees, at may handful na may PhDs. So pagdating nila sa educational background, palagay ko, kaya naman. But be that as it may, in a hearing, judge lang naman ang Kongreso. So ipapatawag halimbawa namin ang OCTA. At the same time, ipapatawag natin ang Data Analytics Group ng IATF. At dito sa Data Analytics Group ng IATF, kasama dyan ang epidemiologist, kasama dyan ang infectious disease expert, kasama dyan ang NEDA, kasama dyan ang actuary. So papakinggan din natin ang kanilang input, no, with respect to the OCTA methodology. So doon natin makikita. So again, judge po ang Congress. So hindi naman necessary na lahat ng congressmen ay may PhD.
That question is just being asked, Congressman. I hope you don't mind. Is because it might lang po, hard to understand the methodologies, data analytics, etc. It might take, some sort of a level of, expertise, I guess, to be able to understand this. Kasi sa numero pa lang minsan, some of us nahihirapan na rin intindihin or i-digest. So you're saying that yes, that is possible, obviously, because there's a lot of competent people at the House of Representatives. Next question is this. Yung timing po, would this be the right time to call on them and to ask them all the questions that you want, the congressmen and women want to find out about OCTA?
Well, there's never a bad time for Congress to do its duty of oversight, and especially when OCTA makes recommendations which is really imbued with deep public interest. So we have to understand, Pinky, na sila ang dahilan kung bakit tayo naka-hard lockdown. Ako, I've been very vocal at this point in time. Hindi na yata tama ang hard lockdown. Dapat very granular ang ating lockdown. So, and we know, no, nabanggit nyo kanina, for a 2-week lockdown, 300 billion pesos ang mawawala sa ating ekonomiya. It's about 1.5% of our GDP. And that means 6 million Filipinos not receiving wages. Wala silang makakain for the next 2 weeks. So napakabigat ng public interest ng mga recommendations nila. So Congress has the responsibility to look into this. And not only that, Pinky, tumanggap sila ng pondo from Bayanihan 2. Kinilahatis na po namin lahat ng
is that confirmed?
Tumanggap ng pondo from Bayanihan 2. Pero yung 15 million pesos na pumunta sa UP Diliman Institute of Math, and inamin naman po nila sa TV na nakatanggap po sila dito. So we need to understand, hindi lang po public funds ang involved, but at the same time, again, it's a situation nga, as I said earlier, na government is now following the recommendations of a private sector group. And kung tama po na ang kanilang website ay yung OCTAResearch.com, ang description po nila sa kanilang sarili ay we are a polling, consulting, and research firm. So it's a private group. So it's a firm. It's a for-profit firm, perhaps. So yun ang kailangan natin maintindihan. Again, because it's a very unique situation. Ang gumagawa, ang nagiging basihan ng very important government decisions is a private sector group.
But then it also goes to this, Congresswoman, sinusunod ng gobyerno yung sinasabi ng OCTA. But is that OCTA's fault? It is, after all, the national government who eventually does or follows the recommendation of OCTA. The national government has every right and has every power to do what it wants to do.
So tama yun, no? We really need to understand that. Kasi, Pinky, in a situation where, for example, if Pag-asa makes a mistake, no, for example, sa kanilang weather forecast, alam natin kung saan yung accountability. In fact, may situations in the past na natanggal sa trabaho ang mga weather forecasters na nagkamali. Pero in this situation, Pinky, paano kung mali? Paano kung mali ang isang private sector group? May accountability ba doon? And that's the reason for why Congress has to step in and look. And at the same time, Pinky, paano kung tama sila? No? Paano kung tama sila? Ang tanong is, bakit hindi kayang gawin ng gobyerno? Di ba? And at the same time, kung tama sila, sapat ba ang pondo na 15 million? And at the same time, kung tama sila at hindi kaya ng gobyerno ginagawa nila, tanggalan na lang natin ang pondo yung IATF Data Analytics Group. Ilipat natin sa OCTA Research Group. And at the same time, klaruhin ang accountability. Di ba? So, again, it's not about OCTA per se. For me, it's also about the decision-making process, considering that it's a matter of life and death ang hard lockdown. Alam na natin yun at this point And yun nga, it's been 16 months since the start of the pandemic. At this point in time, again, babalik ako doon sa ang dami na natin gains in terms of vaccination. Alam na natin na 49% of NCR residents already had their first dose. So may gains na tayo on that. Marami na tayong gains in terms of learnings. Also learnings from other countries. So mas matalino na tayo at this point. Mas equipped tayo. So again, I go back to hindi na siguro talaga tama ang hard at malawakang lockdown at this point.
Yeah, it's certainly obvious that you have been against this hard lockdowns. As you mentioned, and NEDA has mentioned, 150 billion pesos every week, every week ang nawawala sa gobyerno. But even in the IATF, there are medical experts and there are economic experts. And I'm sure kahit po sila, nagkakaroon ho ng matinding argumento dyan kung anong gagawin. Are you saying though that it's also time to investigate also how DOH analyzes its data? Because kung hindi po ganun kagaling, for example lang po are you saying that you would rather have OCTA be the one to be, I don't know, Congresswoman, the official siguro analytical group of the government? Is that a possibility?
I'm open to that possibility, Pinky, which is precisely why we filed a resolution. Again, wag sana matakot, no? Ang OCTA, hindi naman yan ang purpose na ipakita kung qualified ba o hindi. Hindi, it's really understanding, di ba, na if the capacity lies in the private sector and not government, then so be it at this point in time, di ba? Hindi, napaka-kaunti ng window of opportunity natin at this point in time to capacitate the government, di ba? So, kung ang capacity ay nasa private sector for a very important task, edi so be it. And then let's equip them, di ba? And saka na lang natin i-capacitate ang government, di ba? Maybe just to equip ourselves for a future pandemic.
One last question, when will the investigation or the probe begin?
Wala pang schedule. Pero palagay ko, magiging after the lifting of the lockdown na po.
Okay. Congresswoman Stella Quimbo, ma'am, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Salamat. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.